Hello, Brave Nation, and welcome to episode 39 of BraveHawk Talk. I'm John Gross, and as always, BraveHawk Talk is presented by Pepsi. Pepsi, that's what I like. Jersey Mike's of Pembroke is back open and better than ever. Check out their new renovations while enjoying their always high-quality subs. I'm personally a big fan of the Chipotle cheesesteak, but you can truly not go wrong at Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's, a sub above. Today we are joined by River Ryan of the UNCP baseball team and volleyball assistant coach Jaleesa Harper. River, a dominant two-way player, has put together a prolific career in the black and gold, and he's caught the attention of MLB scouts across the league. Here's our Scotland Health Student Athlete of the Week, River Ryan.
First of all, River, thank you so much for joining me. I know that you are in the midst of your season, so I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to hop on the podcast today.
Absolutely, no problem.
Well, like I said, your season is underway. You guys are ranked 14th in the country right now, heading into a big weekend series against Young Harris. What has it been like for you personally and the team as a whole to get back out there on the diamond and actually play some baseball after such a long time off?
Oh, it's a true blessing. I mean, we were on a roll there last year. Unfortunately, came to an end due to COVID, but all the boys have just been itching to get back out there, and luckily we have been able to pass all of our COVID tests so we can all be out there together and play baseball again. So far it's been fun.
And since it had been such a long time since you guys had played, you do have the non-conference schedule to gear up a bit before you guys jumped into conference play. Where do you feel like you guys are as a team right now?
I think we have a long way to go when it comes to, everybody clicking on the same cylinder. Some people are hot right now, some people aren't. We have some work to do on the pitching staff side of things. But I think once we all, actually settle in here, hopefully come this weekend, it's going to be all downhill from here. It'll be a really fun season.
I'm curious because both you personally and this team as a whole came into this season with, a lot of hype, a lot of high expectations from the outside. Is that something that you really focus on at all, or the team as a whole pays any attention to?
I mean, it's nice to be recognized. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's really nice to be, praised for past performance and, be recognized as a really good ball player and some of the ball players on our team. But, no, I wouldn't say that's something that we solely focus on. I mean, at the end of the day, it is baseball. I mean, anything can happen in baseball. But we just got to go out there and just play hard. I mean, it doesn't really matter what, media says. At the end of the day, still got to go out there and perform.
Great way to look at it. And when you talk about your team getting out there and starting to compete as this conference season picks up, what do you feel like this team is capable of achieving this season?
Oh, I think we're capable of doing some pretty great things. Like I said, we're off to a little bit of a slow start on the offensive side of things, but we're getting after it in practice, and hopefully everything's going to start clicking here soon. It's going to be really, really fun and dangerous for the opposing team.
I know all of us here at UNCP are very much looking forward to the rest of your season and as things really pick up in the final year in the Peach Belt Conference. I want to dive a bit into your past. When did you start playing baseball?
Oh, I mean, I was swinging a bat really before I could walk, but I guess I would say I'd say around 4 years old I started playing, competitively.
How did you get into the game? Was it something that kind of ran in your family, or you had early on expressed an interest in playing?
Yeah, so kind of have a long line of baseball players, professional baseball players, and big league baseball players in my family. So it's always kind of just been, the thing to do in our family. I mean, not really I've played so many different sports, but the sole love is baseball at the end of the day.
Which family members have played in the big leagues in your family?
My uncle, Jason Ryan, played for the Minnesota Twins, pitched for the Minnesota Twins for 2 years. My great uncle, Ed Majeski, played in the big leagues for 14 years. My dad played pro ball and made it all the way to big league spring training. And my brother, Ryder, is currently in Double-A with the Texas Rangers. So
that's quite the lineage there. I could see why you'd get into the sport.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. How much did you learn from them growing up? I'd imagine that quite a lot of conversations and time just spending in the backyard would be playing baseball.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's all we've done ever since we've been little kids. That's all we've talked about. I mean, it's all we've done, late night with football games in the backyard. It's always been baseball. But, no, we'd have me and my uncle, my dad and brother would, if we're out having dinner, that's what we'd mainly talk about is past experiences in pro ball, kind of give us some advice, how to keep a positive frame of mind, It was just a lot of wisdom coming from, the dad and uncle and brother so far.
Absolutely. Now, did you always want to follow in their footsteps in not just playing baseball, but trying to play it at a very high level?
I mean, I think that's the ultimate goal. I mean, I've never really been pressured to, play baseball or, like if you don't become a pro ball player, you'll be shunned. It's never been anything like that. It's follow your dream, do what you want to do, whether it's baseball, basketball, whatever you decide to do. But, no, it's just, at the end of the day, it's really just baseball that you just focus on. I mean, it's not anything else.
At what point did you realize that you were good enough to play in college?
I mean, ever since I've been a little kid, I've always been, one of the top performers, on our teams. I mean, I would play up a lot with my brother. Playing, as a freshman in high school, I'm playing with 17, 18-year-olds at the age of 14. So, I mean, I've always played up. I feel like that's gotten me where I am today, competitively and ability-wise, playing with a lot bigger, stronger kids, trying to keep up with them. And then when I finally get into my own age group, it's kind of been pretty easy. I mean, it's nothing more than that, really.
So you go through your high school career at North Mecklenburg High School. Then from there, how'd you end up at UNCP? What was your recruitment process like?
I mean, it's kind of a long story. I mean, it kind of has to do with injuries. In high school, I was, being looked at and being recruited by a lot of Division I schools. Pembroke, obviously. And then I kind of went through a little back injury spell. I wasn't able to play for an entire year. And throughout that year, a lot of the big D1 schools and teams like that kind of fell off the map because they didn't really want to touch me. I mean, a lot of people are scared of recruiting players that are injured. So the only two teams that really stick with me were Pembroke, ECU, I'm pretty sure it was ECU, and Western Carolina, but Pembroke was too good of an offer to pass up.
What did it say to you about UNC Pembroke that they were willing to stay committed in their pursuit of you despite your injuries when at the same time so many other programs said, nah, I don't think we want him anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it shows loyalty for sure. I mean, it's really not much more than that. I mean, they obviously wanted me really bad despite my back injury, but, they obviously needed a middle infielder and a pitcher, and they were hot on me, and they didn't give up. And sure enough, here I am.
So you came to UNCP with the intent to both pitch and play middle infield?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what has that process been like? I'd imagine that it's tougher to practice both sides of things at the college level compared to earlier years. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot of long practices for me, whether it's, get out there early, get your pitching stuff in before practice, or, get out there and do early hitting and then have practice and then stay after practice, do your pitching stuff. It's a lot of work for sure.
And just to give our listeners some context here, River doesn't just both play middle infield and pitch. He dominates at both. He's a career .346 hitter, .484 slugging percentage, ERA at .58 in 21 career appearances. Those are just his career numbers, so I'd recommend all of you take a look at his year-by-year numbers. And of course, we're excited for this for the rest of this season as well. Do you have a preference, pitching or playing the field?
I mean, at the end of the day, it really just comes down to, MLB scouts, the draft, where they want me to end up. I've had some interest in being drafted as a position player, and obviously a lot on the pitching side. But, I mean, it's whatever that's going to get me to the next level,
And you mentioned those MLB scouts. What is it like to know that you are being watched every time that you play?
I mean, at first it's a little nerve-wracking. You go out there and you got a lot of eyes on you, and you gotta perform. I mean, it puts a little bit of pressure on you, but as the season goes on, the more and more you see them out there, the easier and easier it gets to perform and just kind of shut all that stuff out and just go out there and have fun. That's the biggest thing. When I go out there and have fun, I seem to perform really well and have a blast with the boys.
Do you feel that you've had an advantage in that regard because you have so many family members who have been through this process and they've played in front of scouts before?
Well, I mean, that certainly helps. With my brother being highly touted out of high school, during the UNC Chapel Hill, I mean, it's gotten a lot of looks, you have a younger brother type deal. But like I said, when I was in high school, I went through those injuries. I wasn't really able to go to the big, perfect game events in Minnesota and get scouted, by a lot of the scouts that my brother was able to get scouted by, going to all those events because he was healthy. But kind of had to make my own path with that. But having family members that have been there definitely helps.
What does it mean to you to be able to represent UNC Pembroke at the level that you are, and not just being a phenomenal student athlete and dominating on the field as well, but the opportunity to play at the next level? What does that mean to you to be able to represent this university?
Oh, it's great. I feel, with all these guys coming out to watch me play, it gives a lot of other guys in the team a chance to show the stuff they got, and really helps put a good look on our university. And it's just been an honor and a blessing just to be able to play for the coaches, Paul O'Neill, and playing with the guys that I played with for the last almost 5 years now. It's been fun, it's exciting, and I'm truly honored and blessed.
You mentioned playing for this coaching staff and specifically Coach O'Neill. I know one of the mottos for this program, do it for six. So much respect for student athletes of Coach O'Neill, and really anyone who's ever met him or been around this program knows just what kind of person he is. What are some of the biggest things that you've learned playing under Coach O'Neill?
It's got to be tough. I mean, he stresses that quite a bit. You got to be competitive. When things aren't going your way, I mean, just go out there and control what you can control. Don't try to do too much, Just play your game, stay within yourself, and play hard. Play hard all 27 outs. I mean, he's an old school type coach, and I'm I grew up in an old school baseball type of family, so it really works well with me at least.
And I want to quickly circle back to your recruitment for a second. You mentioned how you had some D1s recruiting you, and even at the end there were D1 schools and UNCP were still on you. At the end, you end up going to a D2 program. I think you'll see a lot of people out there who are maybe D1 or bust, or at least that's what they'd say. What would your message be to those recruits, whether it's baseball or any other sport, who are totally locked into the D1 level and won't look at D2 or lower?
Well, I mean, with all circumstance and then going to the injury, it also, one of the main reasons why I chose to go to Pembroke was having my brother go through Chapel Hill, and the coaching staff there, they would tell him all the right things, to keep him there and kind of tell him that you're our guy and recruit big guys and not really ever play them. And I learned from that mistake that my brother had made. I mean, we didn't know that was going to happen, but at the end of the day, I took advantage of what happened to him, and I made an educated decision on coming to Pembroke because the coach really seemed, honest and straightforward. And sure enough, I came here, and he's been upfront with me ever since the beginning. Yeah.
That's awesome, and we're obviously so glad that you came to UNCP. And we like to end with a fun question. Since you both pitch and hit, I'd like to ask you two different questions, but similar topic. If there's one baseball player that you would love to face as a pitcher, and then one pitcher that you'd love to face in the batter's box, who would it be?
I guess. I mean, it's hard to kind of say, but I guess a hitter I would really love to face. And we're talking professional or just in general.
I mean, ideally professional, but it's open to anyone. And it could be any player of all time. They could be playing now. They could be playing in the late 1800s.
Okay. I guess if you put it that way, I'd probably have to face Mike Trout. I'd love to go up against the best. I mean, I feel like the most adrenaline rush ever going up against the best hitter in baseball right now and best player all around. Someone I would have to face. I mean, this will be a stretch, but I would just love to step in the box against a Nolan Ryan.
Love that.
Just see what it looks like, I mean, stepping in the box against, so-called 105 miles an hour. You don't really see that every day, and I would love to step in the box, see what it looks like. I may not get a hit, but I would love to just see, that kind of stuff on the mound and see what it was actually like to face him.
Listen, I wouldn't put it past you. I think you could muster up a hit against Nolan Ryan. But River, thank you so much for your time, man. Really appreciate it. Great speaking with you, and best of luck the rest of this season.
Thank you, John. I appreciate your time, man.
Thanks again to River for hopping on today. We look forward to his continued success on the diamond this season. When it comes to your pets, you want the best. You want a vet who will show your pets the love and care that they deserve. Southeastern Veterinary Hospital of Lumberton will do just that. Their friendly and experienced team will keep both you and your pet at ease. Call 910-739-9411 to schedule your appointment today. Southeastern Veterinary Hospital, your neighborhood's favorite vet. After over a year of waiting, volleyball season is finally here. Assistant coach Jaleesa Harper joins the show to discuss the upcoming season, a very difficult offseason, and her volleyball journey. Let's welcome Jaleesa Harper to BraveHawk Talk.
Coach, at the time of this recording, we are just 4 days away from the season opener for UNCP volleyball. I know you're very busy, so thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to hop on the podcast today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And we're all very excited for this season to start, but obviously a lot has gone into just getting to this point. So what has the journey been like for you personally and the team as a whole, just navigating this off season as you lead into Monday's opener?
Well, for starters, again, it's been 400 plus days since we played last. So last year it was, you expect your players to come in ready to go, but also as coaches, you have to get your mind right as well. Getting back in the groove of coaching and being around the girls, adapting back to the busy schedule and the practice, the lift, the film. So up until this point, we've just been, letting the girls know, be ready to adapt to anything. Obviously, we want the schedule to stay the same, but based off other teams, how things have changed, we wanted the girls to know that even though things may change on our end as well, just be prepared, be open, and whatever games that we can get in, take it one day at a time, take it one game at a time, and, just be thankful that we're even having a season. So the journey so far, it's been, up and down, obviously, with the unknown, but now that we're only a couple days away, we're super excited and, just ready to get going.
You mentioned something interesting that, we have to be thankful for just these opportunities to even be playing. I know in speaking with a lot of student athletes and coaches, they kind of have a renewed sense of appreciation for the sport that they play. Do you feel that's the same sense that you're getting from your players?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Who would have thought that sports would have been shut down? That's one of the things that unites people together. And, we hadn't seen this before. I know I haven't in my lifetime. Seeing sports shut down completely. So, it's a new appreciation just to be able to play the sport that you love and coach the sport that you love.
When you look back to last season, a program that certainly made strides, you picked up some big conference wins, did a great job with the non-conference as well. How do you build off of last year's growth and success and translate that to this season?
Well, yeah, we definitely made a lot of strides within the last season, and, that's all the confidence you need. Once you can win one conference game, that kind of opens the door. We obviously definitely let some games slip away that season, and we know that, and we learned from that, and, how that'll translate is just keeping the momentum. I think within the last year and a half, we've tried to change the culture of the program, and now the girls are going into this season more confident and more ready. And, that says a lot. Once you have confidence, that's kind of all you need to get the ball rolling. So that's kind of the momentum that we're taking into this season. Just play with confidence, have confidence, work hard, and let's just get the job done.
What kind of culture are you and Coach McGill trying to build with this team?
So, yeah, obviously, like I just said, confidence has been the big thing, knowing and believing that you can win and knowing how to handle winning, knowing how to handle when you're up. And just playing loose, no pressure. Obviously, the culture right now, we have set the standard of, different values and stuff within the program, playing with tenacity, having confidence, building each other up, playing with heart, all those little things, focusing on the little details individually and then together as a unit, also displaying those same values. So we're just trying to change just, the overall culture of the program and how we go into games, how we go into season, knowing and believing that we can. And if you believe you can, then you will.
Awesome. Phenomenal mindset. Now, as you look forward to this season, have you set expectations for the team, or is that even possible in the midst of such an unprecedented situation? That gets a little tricky. Obviously, you want to have goals to, win every game, right? But because things are still, uncertain on a day-to-day basis and, probably preparing to play and maybe not being able to play and possibly playing another team, as other teams in the department have experienced already. Our goal is literally just to take it one game at a time. Obviously, we want to make the conference tournament this year. The conference is only taking the top 4 teams, so we know we're going to have to work really hard to get into that top 4. So obviously that's the end goal. And we actually, we've been talking about championship mindset. So I think that's also a part of the culture, changing. That wasn't the case before, right? So now that we are trying to develop that championship mindset, we want to make the conference tournament, but because this year is so uncertain, why not go for it and try to win the whole thing? But even though that's far ahead, we're literally just trying to take it, one practice at a time, one game at a time. Awesome. Well, I cannot wait for this season to start. I love volleyball, and I'm so excited to see what you are all going to put together this season. I want to dive into your personal past. When did you start playing volleyball?
So I started playing volleyball in middle school, 7th grade. I come from a family of athletes, and I kind of just wanted to get out there and start playing. So I actually started playing basketball in 5th grade. That was the first sport, first love. And then as I transitioned into middle school, I started to see all these other sports, and I was like, yeah, I kind of want to play everything. But I started playing volleyball in 7th grade.
At what point did you really commit to that as your sport?
Well, honestly, senior year of high school. That sounds crazy, but again, I played volleyball, I played basketball, I ran track, I did softball, I did cross country. So by the time I got to high school, I did volleyball, basketball, and track. And then we had a coaching change, and she was just telling me, like, man, you can play at the next level. You can play at the next level. But I never really saw myself playing volleyball at the next level. I thought it was going to be basketball or track, to be honest. So when she said that, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to just go for it. Like, I'm falling in love with this game. I'm having a good time. I'm successful in the sport. I was really trying to lead my team my senior year. So that's honestly when I was like, okay, like, let's go for it. Let's see what happens.
And you mentioned that you played basketball. I have to say this. We were on an IM basketball team together, and you were a great basketball player. First game of the season, didn't you have like 20-something points?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you were balling out there, so I'm sure you would have been successful in basketball as well. But you make the decision to play college volleyball. I know you end up at Claflin, but what was your recruitment process like?
Yeah, it was crazy. I think about now how travel ball is, this big thing. Everybody plays travel and AAU. But for me, I never had that chance because I played sports all year round, and parents, they had jobs, and at the time I didn't have a car, so how would I get to these practices? I know back then it's a club in Raleigh, North Carolina called Triangle, and they reached out to my coach and was trying to get me to come out, but at the time, it was just kind of impossible for me to be able to do that and commit to the other sports I was playing at the time. So for me, I kind of just started reaching out to coaches and seeing, what their needs were. And, Claflin, they actually came to a career fair at our school, and I never heard of the school, so I grabbed the pamphlet and started looking at the program online, and it was just something that kept drawing me to that school. I can't explain it. So I ended up getting in contact with the coach. She called my high school coach and invited me to come down for a visit and a tryout, and offered me a scholarship, said I'm exactly what they were looking for at the time. And, I was super athletic, super raw, and she was ready to work with me. So it kind of just worked out that way. At the time, I had a couple offers in track, and it was just something about that school. So had a couple offers in volleyball too. I almost went the JUCO route for 2 years, but again, it was something about Claflin that just kept drawing me, so I ended up committing to there.
So you get to Claflin, and what was your 4 years like at college? That's probably a lot to pack into one answer, but especially in the volleyball side of things, what was your experience like?
Yeah, man, it was great. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything in the world. We had a great time. Obviously, your teammates, I still talk to them this day. We're still in group chats to this day, and sometimes we just sit back and reminisce. But, yeah, very, very successful. In my time there, we won 3 divisional championships. I want to say within that time from 2010 to 2013 season, we won over 100 games during my time there. I have 2 championship rings that I can go back and look at. I played with some amazing players. I mean, amazing. Claflin is a small Division II school, HBCU, but we were making noise, man. We were fearless. We were so competitive. We played hard for each other. We played hard for our coach. She really, really pushed us every single day. And I mean, those times were great. I would go back right now if I could, to be honest.
Did you make the decision in college that you want to pursue coaching, or was that something that came after graduation? How'd you end up getting into coaching?
Definitely didn't make it in college. Definitely didn't make it then. I knew, in a sense, that was something I wanted to do, later down the line. I figured I'd start coaching when I got older. For some reason, I had it in my mind, but it kind of just came to me maybe a year. I think, it was a year after I graduated undergrad. I started coaching high school. I was the head coach at my high school that I graduated from, which was cool. So I did that for 3 years, and I coached club for 3 years. So it kind of just happened, and since it happened, I hadn't, went away from it. But it definitely wasn't something I thought about necessarily in college.
Was there a coach, or either in college or before that, who really inspired you to get into coaching?
Well, I actually grew up with a coach in my household. My dad has been coaching middle school football and basketball for 30-plus years. And then my college coach, her passion alone kind of drew me in, like, man, I could probably see myself, doing this someday. And, I mean, really, that's it. I wouldn't necessarily say, I looked at them and was like, man, I want to do what they do. But it was just something about, observing the coaching world. And then as I got older, I'm like, man, I want to be able to, impact young ladies how I was impacted, when I played. So those two, I would say, definitely played a factor into me getting into coaching.
You mentioned you were a high school coach for a little bit, and of course now you are at UNCP. How'd you make that transition to Pembroke?
Well, so initially, when I graduated undergrad, I thought about, getting my master's right after, but didn't go that route. So it was really a 4-year gap for me from undergrad until now. So I knew I wanted to go back, and I knew that I wanted to get that coaching experience on a college level. So I applied to grad school here, got in, and I was like, I wonder if I could be a GA. So I ended up reaching out to Coach McGill at the time, and, her and I linked up, and I came here, and we met, and we talked, and, she liked me, and ended up offering me the position. So it kind of went from that to interim assistant to, where I am now. So definitely grateful for the experience here.
And we're certainly grateful that you're at UNCP. When you look ahead, let's say 20 years from now, where do you hope where do you hope that you're still in coaching? Do you have a career goal? Let's say 20 years from now.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. 20 years from now, it's kind of difficult for me to say exactly what I want to be doing, but I do know that whatever that thing is, I want to still be able to, impact people in a positive way, whether that's through coaching, whether that's through mentorship, whether that's through writing. No matter what I'm doing, I can't really say or pinpoint what I will be doing 20 years from now, but I just hope that whatever that thing is, I'm in alignment with whatever God wants me to do, wherever he wants me to be, that I'm able to impact people in a positive way.
Now, I want to end with this question, and I did some digging, and you had answered this years back, so I'm curious if your answer has changed since then.
Okay.
If you could play with one volleyball player ever, who would it be?
Okay.
Who would you want as your teammate?
Oh, man. So, I definitely play with Destiny Hooker. She played at Texas, And the crazy thing is I actually had a chance to meet her a couple years ago at a volleyball camp. So I was like, whoa, this is crazy how things come full circle. So she was a beast. I mean, you can look her up. Destiny Hooker was amazing. So
Yes, and
I would definitely want to play with her.
I have to say two things on that. Number one, that is the same exact answer that you gave a few years ago on your Claflin bio page. So you've remained consistent. And as a lifelong Penn State volleyball fan, there were some epic duels between Penn State and Texas when Destiny Hooker was with the Longhorn. She was, like you said, she was a beast.
Oh yeah, big time.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time today. Again, we're all so excited for this bizarre 2021 spring season to happen, but it's going to be a great year. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for tuning in. A reminder to follow us on all of our social media platforms at UNCP_sports and subscribe to our YouTube page. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Until then, have a great rest of your week, and remember to mask up.